Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're looking at the Devastator battlefield robot. I've run into some technical issues on my end, so I've got things kind of cobbled together. So if things aren't quite the way they were before, we'll have to kind of work through it in the meantime until I can hopefully get things replaced or whatever I'm going to have to do here. So the battlefield robot Devastator was first released as a boxed set in the United States in 1989. It was also available in 1990 and unfortunately was discontinued in 1991. Note the antenna, missiles, gun, front and rear dumbbell wheels for the Devastator are shared with the battlefield robot hovercraft. So all similar stuff and are interchangeable between both vehicles. Now that's a nice note here from yojo.com where we always start these videos. So let's kind of scroll down and see what else we have here. Um, Getting our views, a nice, wonderful front view to start things off with here this morning, and then we have a rear view. Now, it's an interesting concept. So not only is this a robot itself, but it's also able to be a piloted vehicle. So taking it for that, something that I didn't think of until just now, because I did do stats for this yesterday, and I was like, okay, well, we should all be good. And then when I was trying to get this done last night, I ran into finding out my laptop is more or less kind of dead and or dying. So that's why I said I've got things cobbled together here. Um, Being a robot, I don't have stats for this as a robot itself. So it's an interesting thing to think about. We have a dual-mounted recoilless 50 caliber rifle. So there's twin 50 cals up here on the top, and then we also have missiles. So the question is, and I'll leave this up to you. Um, do you think the robot would be able to fire all the weapons on its own, or do you think it's just going to be more of a robotic drive unit? Um, it poses an interesting thought here. And I'll leave that up to you. Let me know in the comments what you think about this, and maybe I'll do an update on this later if we come up with stats. Otherwise, when we look at our GI or our Star Wars universe, which is where we've been doing the GI Joe and our Star Trek and all that other stuff from that same game, just for basic stats, if you wanted to have everything as a 2D, just as a our average starting point. All right. So as we finish up our initial views, we have easily broken and or lost pieces. We have the antenna for the battlefield robot Devastator is very fragile and heavy and prone to breakage. Please handle it with care if you still have it there. Um, Otherwise, I'm going to say that the gun and the missiles and all that stuff are probably easily lost items as well, especially with us being kids when this first came out, and you're always launching it or whatever. Um, and I'm trying to get my mouse to move, and it doesn't want to move. All right, so let's see what else we can do. Oh, no. So we do have pictures here from DIC for when they were doing the GI Joe. So it looks like we have one of the robots here in the front, and it looks like a Hiss 2 tank in the back. Uh, let's see. And then we also have a commercial for it. So unfortunately, we don't have any other medium that it was in, although it is stated that it was in trading cards and comic books and all that, but we don't have any actual um visual pictures of that here. Let's see. There are some different boxes that they had used, namely in Brazil and India, and the United Kingdom had a slightly different box from the looks of it as well. Um, that does make sense. I mean, you're talking about different countries, different languages being used, so it all makes sense in those regards. Now, the fun little tidbit here that we always kind of conclude when we get done here at yojo.com is the original retail price was $2.59. Very inexpensive when we look at it today, but it, it amazes me to sit there and think that quite often I would have to save up money to get some of these when I was a young lad. And looking back at the cost of it is like, holy shnikes, you can barely go and get a soda out of a vending machine for that price today. So just kind of scary thoughts. All right, so as we look at this as our PDF here, or as our kind of write up, this is the Devastator. We have it at speed or scale. I put it at about 15 feet long, not knowing exactly how long I should have it. I put it at 15 feet. I don't know if I changed the meters correctly or not, so please bear with me. I think I'm a little off. Anyways, a crew of one. Passengers is zero. Cargo capacity, I left that at 44 pounds or 20 kilograms. I give it a half coverage, figuring that that should be a good base. And of course, it's going to be ground level. Has a maneuverability of 1D plus 2. I think this is one of the first vehicles I actually put it a little bit below 2. Um, Kind of starting to change a little bit on that here. Let's see. So we do have it going roughly about 50 miles per hour. Now, trying to think of it in kind of today's terms where, I know that most smaller vehicles or whatever else or most military vehicles, we're having governed down to about like 35, 40 miles an hour. Um, Thinking of it as this might be a tracked equivalent to a three-wheeler from back in the day, which, way back then, those were the popular vehicles. Four wheelers were kind of newer concept, really, which is funny because we have the ferret and all that. But three wheelers were a big thing, and unfortunately, they were tipsy, so that kind of brought it down a little bit. All right, so we have a body strength of 2D, keeping it just as a standard. We do have the four missiles, so they are forward firing, speed or scale. I left a fire control of 3D plus 2, and we have 7D damage per missile. These could be considered, I don't know if you want to consider it like a heat seeking or some sort of other guidance that would be inside the missile. And then we have the dual heavy laser cannons, which are a personnel scale for the 50 calibers. Fire control is 1D, and we have 7D damage for that as well. Now, the nice thing is when you look at it, the big difference between the two of them, the missiles are at speeder scale, where the 50 cals are at personnel scale. They're doing the same damage, but the ranges are different too. That way, the missiles are giving you a little bit farther range on something than what your forward cannons are doing. Just trying to balance that out. If you have one weapon that's going to a certain range, why would you need another one that's doing the same range, same capability? There are different scales and a different range availability. So, I mentioned before, as a robotic drone or whatever else, I don't have stats for it itself as a robot. I just have it as a vehicle. Um, and we haven't gotten into like the bats or anything else. So really, that gets to be a whole new ball of wax as far as that goes, and something I wasn't thinking about when I was coming up with the stats. I'm just thinking of it as just a vehicle, not so much as a droid or whatever. So I think for now, if you were to take this and put it in there, I'd just give it a base stat of everything at two, at a 2D, and then go from there. So you can let me know in the comments if you agree with me, disagree with me, because we still have to come up with stats for this. Like I said, I'll try and come up with a update to this at some point. Obviously, with my computer kind of failing me, I don't know when that's going to be offhand. Just trying to get things going here for the near future is going to be a little bit of a challenge. Um, so we'll just have to do with it as we can. So with that, thank you so very much for joining me. It's always wonderful having you stop by. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.